Hey there, coders. Welcome to the 2019 Foothill Elementary Coding Contest. We hope you have a lot of fun with this as we're doing a Mission to Mars theme and that you'll learn some things as we go along the way too. So this is the first project for the lower coding contest level. If you're looking for more of a challenge, make sure you go back and try the advanced ones where we'll do a lot of the same projects, but it'll be all into one big project instead of 8 small ones. So the point of this project is to load up your rocket ship. If you're going to go on a mission to Mars, you need to be able to take all your supplies with you because they're not going to have a Walmart on the surface of the Mars that you can just run to get what you need. So with that in mind, let's do a brief introduction of what you see here on the screen. This over here is called the stage. So when you hit the green flag, what you program will appear in this little window here. This box down here is where you can adjust the backdrops for the stage. This section right here gives you details about a sprite you're looking at. Down here is where your different sprites will show up. This over here is your workspace, and so when we drag our code over to program the sprites, this is where will appear. And then over here on the side, you have different types of command block codes that you can drag over to your program. When you're looking at a sprite, you can have your code, and then this tab up here will say costumes and sounds. If you click over here on this backdrop, it switches to the word backdrops instead of costumes. So that's important to remember. Just remember, if I go too fast for you, you can always pause the video and rewind it. Okay, let's get started. The first thing we want to do is get a rocket on our screen. So we like this cat here, but we're not going to use him today. So click on it once, and then the trash can, and we'll get rid of Scratch Cat. And then come over here and we're going to add a sprite. Now you can upload it from your computer, do a random one, or draw one yourself. But I've found that I'm never really happy with my drawing skills, so I'm going to just choose sprites throughout these contests. You're welcome to do your own if you're feeling up to it. You can scroll down here to find the word rocket, or you can just in the search bar type in ROCK, and then you have two that come up, rocket ship and rocks. We're going to do this one here called the rocket ship, so click on it once. You'll notice the sprite appears down here, and it shows up on our stage because that's where sprites go. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want that rocket to appear in the middle of the screen. So there's an X and a Y here, and right now they're at -40 and 7. It's important to remember that 0, 0 is the middle of the stage, and so your X's go positive to the right and negative to the left, and they go positive. The Y's go positive going up, and the Y's go negative going down. So if we wanted to, we could move this around to try to get it just at 0, 0. Or you can just type in here 0, not -0, 0, 0. And the rocket will go to the center of that sprite will be right at 0, 0. Now, you should notice a problem with this sprite because right now it's got flames shooting out of the back of it. Well, we don't actually want flames shooting out of it before we've loaded it up. So let's come over to costumes. And let's switch it to one of these costumes that doesn't have flames. So the bottom one here is going to be great for us. I'm going to switch this to costume 5. For some reason it's a little bit bigger. That's okay, but the flames have gone away. Okay, let's do a backdrop next. So I wasn't really super happy with any of these backdrops, but we'll just pick one. So I'm going to come down here and choose a backdrop. And you can pick any of these that you want. I'm going to do Field at MIT just because that's kind of a futuristic looking building. And that's where the people that make the Scratch website work, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so we have a backdrop. We have a sprite. If I hit the green flag, you'll notice that nothing happens because so far we don't have any code added yet. And that's okay because our rocket here doesn't actually need any code for this project. Once we have our rocket in our background, now we're ready to pick our supplies for the trip. We're just going to start with one sprite, and then we'll add the code, and I'll show you why. So you can draw one, or you can upload one, but let's choose one to start with. And the nice thing about coding is you can really do anything you want. So for me, I'm thinking that if I'm going to go to Mars, I definitely want to bring with me a giraffe. So I'm going to put a giraffe on my stage there. So now you'll see the sprite down below, and he's on the stage. Now you should notice that that giraffe is pretty big. We can adjust the size. Let's see in this section here. This changes based on what sprite you're looking at. So make sure you're clicking on giraffe. Let's change the size to, instead of 100, change it to 40, and you can predict that the giraffe will shrink in size. I like that size a lot better for this project, so we're going to leave it right there. So let's think about what we want to happen. When we're going to put 5 different objects on the screen here, and when we hit the green flag, we want these objects to go to the rocket. Okay? So the key for the giraffe sprite is what I said there when you click the flag. That's an event that tells the sprite to do something when that happens. Because that's an event, we want to start with this one over here that says events. So click on that. The very top one is when the green flag is clicked. That's what the program is going to wait for before it does any other code. So click on that and drag it over. You can actually have 2 or 3 of these or more of these on your sprites if you want multiple different things to happen. But for this project, we only need one block of codes to run when we click the flag. So let's think about it. We have a giraffe here in the corner. What do we want it to do when the green flag is clicked? Well, we want it to go to the rocket. So if you look over here, motion, looks, sound, events, you should know that one of these is going to be the one that controls moving it on the screen, and that's motion. You have different options here. Watch what move 10 steps does. 10. And if you change the direction, if you turn it and then move it, you see how it changes directions there? Let's switch that back. I think we want that set on 90. I just did that so I could show you what that looks like. We're not going to use those ones for this project. We could do this one that says go to random position. If we run that code, see how the giraffe just jumps around? Or you could say go to rocket ship. So if we run this code, it goes to the rocket ship. So I could move the giraffe over here and click on it. Boom, it goes to the rocket ship. Now that technically works for the purposes of this project, but it doesn't look very cool. So let's get rid of that one. Skip a couple of these and come down to this one here that says glide. So glide 1 second to random position. So obviously if I attach this and I click the green flag, the giraffe is going to move around the screen to a random position. What do you think we should change if we don't want that to go to a random position? We want it to go to the rocket. Well, you should see this little triangle here. This triangle means you have different options you can pick from if you click on it. So click on that and then go to rocket ship. And so now when the green flag is clicked, it'll glide for 1 second to the rocket ship. How's that look? One of the things you'll notice is the further it travels, the slower it goes. Oh, and look, if it's really close, it moves kind of faster because it takes a second. Well, no, I said it wrong. The further away, the faster it goes because it's going to take a second no matter how far away it is. So if it's already close, it's just going to go slow to get there at the end of the second. All right, so our project is kind of done, but do you see how I have to move the giraffe every time? Let's change our project so that each time we click the green flag, it starts somewhere different on the screen and then it moves to the rocket. Well, we can use this one right here, go to random position, like we tested earlier. Now, if I connect it right here, you should see for yourself that this might create a problem. Can you imagine what this will do? When we click the flag, it'll glide to the rocket and then go to a random position. That's not what we want, right? So what we need to do is change the order of these codes. That's called debugging, when the program didn't quite work the way you wanted it to. So now when I hit the green flag, the giraffe starts in a random position and it goes to the rocket. And, you know, if you want to be more creative, you can have the giraffe start in the same spot each time. For me, though, for the sake of this project, to keep it nice and easy, that's not that important to me. The next step is to add our other objects. Well, let's do this too. I just had an idea. I wasn't planning on doing this. Let's do this. What if when it gets to the rocket, we want it to look like it went inside? Now there's different ways you could accomplish that. One is you could make the rocket be the last thing you move on the screen. And when you run it, it'll be on top of the giraffe. See how it kind of looks like it's going behind the rocket there? That's one way you could kind of do it. I wanted to do it a different way though. So click on giraffe. Let's change the way it looks. And if you scroll down under the looks section, you have one here that says hide. Let's drag that over. So now the giraffe will go to a random position on the screen, glide to the rocket for a second, and then hide. And that'll make it kind of look like it disappeared inside the rocket. But let me give you a warning. The giraffe won't show back up again. So I'm going to click that. Now, if I keep running it, where's the giraffe? Well, it's on there. We just can't see it because we told the program to hide. That's the thing. One thing about coding is it only does exactly what we told it to do. So what we need to do is show it again. So if we're going to hide it, we also need to show it. Now the best spot to put this would be right after the green flag. So think about that. When the green flag clicks show, so turn visible, go to a random position, glide to the rocket ship for a second, and then hide. Okay, how's that look? We've got a giraffe running to the ship, and then it disappears when it gets inside. But every time we hit the green flag, it starts over. All right, we're almost done. Let's just pick 4 more sprites. I'm going to take some bananas. I'm going to take some cheesy puffs. I'm going to take let's take this duck. He's going to be a lot of fun. Let's do one more. Let's take this space dog. Okay, so I'm just going to move them off of the rocket so you can see them a little bit better. And right now, these sprites don't have any code over here in the workspace. Now, we could replicate or we could copy that code and drag it all over again, just like we did with the giraffe. But I'm going to teach you a shortcut right here, a sneaky little shortcut. If you click on the giraffe and you grab the top here, now if you just grab the bottom or one of the lower blocks, it takes it and everything under it. But if you grab the top and drag that to your other sprites, it will actually copy the code over there too. So now you see how the bananas wiggles when I hold it over? When I let go and I click on bananas, now bananas has that same code. I'm going to drag that over to the cheesy puffs. I'm going to drag that over to the duck. I'm going to drag that over to the dog, the space helmet. And now if you click on the sprites, even though I'm changing the sprites, they all have the same code up here, except the rocket, because that's fine where it is. So if I hit the green flag, they will all do that code that we told them to do. We've successfully filled our rocket full of supplies, and that's the end of this project. If you want to, as an extension to make it a little bit more challenging for you, could you think of a way where you could adjust the code so that the sprites arrive at different times? So first the giraffe arrives, then the bananas, then the cheesy puffs, then the duck, so they don't get all jammed up in the door. I'm not going to tell you how to do that one. You can try that if you want, but I hope you had fun with this little project and that you'll come back to do project 2 when our rocket will take off.